The amount of money you make will always be in direct relation to the need for what you do, your ability to do it, and the difficulty there is in replacing you. Welcome to the Personal Branding Podcast with me, Olive Gachara, where we are talking about the most sought after topic when it comes to personal branding, which is how to monetize your personal brand. If you have been following this personal branding podcast series, then you must know by now that your personal brand is the single most investment you can make in your career, whether you work for yourself or whether you are employed. Creating a strong, credible, and reliable personal brand will help give your company a solid reputation. It will also be an avenue for you to communicate your personal beliefs, and it will put your personal services in higher demand because there's an element of credibility and need for what you do. Monetizing your personal brand can be a very long-winded conversation, and it can also get very complicated and technical. But to make it simple, I have divided it into 3 segments. We shall start with how to monetize your personal brand if you're in the corporate world, then touch on how to monetize your personal brand if you're a business owner, large or small, and then finish with how to monetize your personal brand if you're a content creator or in the gig economy. I hope that makes sense. Let's start with you who is in the corporate world. More often than not, we think that because we are employed, we have our 8 to 5, we probably have our small side hustle or a small shamba somewhere. Personal branding is not that important a conversation, but it still is. And I'm sure that you have been able to pick up on very many things that you can do to be able to amplify and elevate your personal brand. But did you know that you can also monetize your brand, i.e. find other ways to start making money from your very well-established personal brand despite being employed? Luckily or fortunately for most of us, our employers now allow us to have side hustles or things that we do on the side as long as they do not interfere with our work. And your side hustle can be monetizing your personal brand. In order to create a brand that is bankable, you need to have developed core brand values that are distinctive and that stand out. And you need to ensure that you seem or you appear to be the best in your industry. So you actually find that roles like HR tend to be one of the easier ones to monetize outside the organization because you're given a lot of tools that can then easily catapult you into becoming a consultant. Does that mean that your side hustle has to become consultancy as you're doing your HR stuff? No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that as you're building or developing your personal brand, always think about how you can monetize it. And one of the sure ways to ensure that you create a brand that is monetizable is by ensuring that you are, 1, visible, credible, consistent, and always top of mind when people are discussing best of industry. The same goes to if you're in marketing, if you're in IT. Tomorrow you can have an IT consultancy on the side. You can be that person that's being called to speak about IT related things. You can start a communications company, or you can advise communication companies, or you can even advise other organizations that are not in competition with yours. If you're in the corporate world and you've gotten at the top of your ladder, one of the other ways you can become bankable is by joining boards. And who do they put on boards? They put the best performers within different organizations to become board members and continue adding value as a legacy project. So just because you're in the corporate world, it doesn't mean that this monetization conversation is not for you. It's actually something that you can start working on so that you can have a nice, cushy retirement plan or a plan B, plan C, plan D, because if you're like me and you're a planner, it's important to have multiple plans in play. If you run your own business, whether you're a consultant, you run a large organization or a small business, it's also important that you create a brand that is bankable because people will relate your brand value as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, to the brand value of the company that you work for. I actually like to use Richard Branson as a perfect example of creating a bankable personal brand as an entrepreneur. He used his brand as an eclectic entrepreneur to become a tool to market Virgin and all the different products that Virgin had by creating or doing stunts that are conversational, being top of mind. He was on the cover of all newspapers, magazines. Everyone is talking about Richard Branson. When they talk about Richard Branson, they think about Virgin. And they think about Virgin, it's Virgin Air, Virgin Atlantic, Virgin Galactic, Virgin this, Virgin that. And he was always the person at the forefront, such that their conversation or their spend, their marketing spend, was not so much just in advertising, it was more in PR, because they're doing interesting things that people just want to talk about. So yes, it is important that you as an entrepreneur or you as a business owner create a strong personal brand, because it will directly speak to the bankability of the business that you represent. I know a lot of business people who would rather create businesses that have nothing to do with them. In fact, they don't even want to know that they're the ones who are the brains behind the business. But we forget, and I say this over and over again. Nowadays, people don't buy products and services. People buy into people. And the more people can get to see the face behind these amazing products that are being marketed and sold left, right, and center, the more they will have a connection with the product and the service at hand, the more they will feel some sort of loyalty to it. Not just because they have a loyalty to the brand or the corporate brand you have created, but because they also have lots of loyalty towards the business person behind that brand. If you think about it, till today, when people think about Apple, they think about Steve Jobs. They think about the brilliance that Steve Jobs brought to the brand. In fact, if you ask someone, or if you ask yourself who the new CEO of Apple is, you probably don't know, or you're not 100% sure. Not because he doesn't have a strong brand, but he had massive personal brand shoes to fill. So, as a business owner, do not shy away from building a bankable brand. You can also get to monetize your brand by starting to speak about your successes, starting to speak about the industry that you're in, starting to speak about systems and structures that you have been able to successfully implement in your business that other people can implement in their own. You can monetize your brand by even lecturing in universities. I've done that many times when it comes to entrepreneurship, because there's still not enough lecturers on entrepreneurship. And there's nothing bad about being a teacher, by the way. Nothing shady. They call me Mwalimu, is what I tell people all the time. And of course, if you're a content creator or in the gig economy, it is very important to create a bankable personal brand, because people literally hire you based on the physical work that you do or the services that you provide. If you're in the gig economy, it's quite likely that you are selling a service. And there's 3 things that you need to keep in mind as you're creating your personal brand. Who are you? As in, what name are you going by? The Personal Branding Podcast by Olive Gachara. You know, what's that brand identity that people see when they see you? What are you good at? Are you a videographer? Are you a photographer? Are you a makeup artist? Are you a content creator who's just fantastic at showing people how to live the best life? And lastly, will people pay for what you're good at? Remember, we said much earlier that relevance is the only job security that exists in today's business world. For example, you could have a really good voice and would make a fantastic voiceover artist, but would people pay you to voice their ads or their campaigns? I don't know. I personally think I have a really good voice. But will people pay me to voice their campaigns? I don't think so. At least it's never happened. Maybe it'll happen after somebody watches this. Who knows? So identify who you are and how you want to be seen. What that brand will be that people see when they see you. What that brand will be when you put it on social media platforms, etc. In a nutshell, whether in the corporate world, whether you're a business owner or you're a solopreneur, you have to ensure that you create a strong, authentic personal brand that communicates a unique selling proposition that makes you stand out from everybody else. Once you have discovered your unique selling proposition, that thing that makes you stand out, that thing that you know you can monetize, it's then important to discover your environment, or as we like to say in today's world, your audience. And your audience are those people who you capture with the content that you create and the stories that you tell. Refer to one of our previous episodes on the importance of creating a compelling brand story. It's important to note that designing your personal brand for monetization first and then people later will probably leave you with neither. So the most important thing is to first build an audience. And we tend not to have patience, especially for those of us who are young and are just getting to this whole personal branding thing. We want to create a brand today, start monetizing it tomorrow, and be chilling by the beach by the weekend, right? But that's really not how it works, unfortunately. Slow and steady wins the race, isn't it? Now, what is this audience we're talking about? Who is your target audience? Like literally, who are you speaking to? Who are you engaging with? We talked about brand visibility and how when it comes to brand visibility, it's important that you're visible to the right people through multiple channels. So your audience are these right people. And who are these right people? Let's unpack it the way an organization would unpack their TA. So what is the gender split between men and women? What is the age demographic? Is it 25 to 35, 35 to 40? Who are you capturing when you communicate, whatever it is that you're communicating? Who are the people who are going to listen to you and look up to you as that credible and authentic brand? And when I say who are they, I mean like really get into their demographics and their psychographics. Like, it's, how in marketing we normally say, discover your Wanjiro, right? So Wanjiro is 25 years old. She's a lady who's just finished university. She is in her first job. She's probably earning X amount of money. She doesn't have a car yet, but then she has money to Uber and she's probably looking to buy her first car. She's not single. She's probably dating. Her favorite drink is probably a mixed gin and tonic, vodka tonic, wine, somewhere in those two circles. She probably hangs out in places around West T and CBD. You've really unpacked who this Wanjiro is. You've unpacked her kabisa. You have a complete brand persona, is what we call it in the marketing world. So unpack the brand personas of the people that you think you attract with your content. And there can be many. You can have Wanjiro, you have David, you have Tom, you have the different people that consume your content through the different platforms or places that you put out your content. Now, once you've done that, it becomes easier to figure out where you can find them. This my Wanjiro is probably on TikTok, definitely not on Facebook. She could be on Instagram, but if you want to engage with her, probably find her more on Facebook. She's never on Twitter unless she's going to see what's happening on news. And physically in person, she'll probably go for a bash and not a networking event. So if I am trying to push my content or my brand to this Wanjiro person, then I know that first I will do reels, and those reels must be fun and cool and FOMO creating, so that when she's looking at it, she's like, oh my God, she's living her best life. I want to be like her, living my best life. That's the type of person that I'm talking to. And so that's the type of person that I need to look like to appeal to her attention. Does that make sense? And once you've unpacked to that level of where you can find them and what will draw their attention, then you want to engage with them in as many different platforms as you can. A mistake that a lot of people try to do, or at least they tried to do in the past, is they tried to get to monetize their brands from the audience. But instead, what you need to do is have a few people that will pay you for what you do and then send it out to the masses. And I'm sure you all know this by now. If you run a business, your Wanjiro is a person that purchases your products and services. And remember, in every business, the 80-20 rule applies, right? You make 80% of your revenue from 20% of your customers. So you want to focus on that 20%. Who are those 20%? You can call them Toms, Davids, whoever, or the Ambos, whatever you want to call them. Give them a name and create brand personas around those people. Those are the people that you want to create your personal brand, or that you want to make your personal brand visible to. I hope that makes sense, because there's no point. We don't have the time and the energy to be visible to everybody. We're not trying to be Beyonce, right? You're just trying to be a very successful Olive in your corner of the universe, making amazing money that will give you a nice, beautiful life and that will give you work-life integration. Now that we have figured out how to identify our audience and we have created strong, bankable brands, how do we actually rake the money in, Olive? I can hear that question. There's very many ways you can monetize your personal brand. The easiest, of course, is through product endorsements. And product endorsements is what we see happening every day on the social sphere, where you have influencers pushing certain brands. And I have to break the myth that you do not have to have 500,000 followers to start endorsing brands. In fact, when it comes to the influencer or content creation space, there are so many tiers of product endorsements that almost everybody can fit in. We have the Micro, we have the nano influencers, where literally they're looking for the girl next door with her 200 followers to talk about a certain product, and they get paid a certain amount of money. That can also be done through affiliate marketing, where products are sent to you. They can be sent to you from different countries. You don't even need to know who has sent them. Just know that your bank account to be balanced. It actually happens. We have micro influencers who have maybe 5 to 10,000 followers. Then we have your macro influencers who will be part of major brand campaigns, etc. So every single person, even you as you're sitting there in your corporate office watching this podcast, you can endorse products through your social media channels as long as you have an existing social media channel and a credible brand on that social media platform. There are also lots of different ways you can be able to monetize your personal brand, especially if you have become a market leader in your space. Whether it's HR, it's marketing, it's IT, it is retail, whatever it is. You could be hired or you could be paid to give speaking engagements at events, become a keynote speaker during various conferences. You could get paid to contribute to an existing website, blog, newspaper, or news platform as an opinion leader or as a key thinker. You could start a masterclass or set up a course. You could set up demo days where people come to learn more about how to start similar businesses to you or how to take on roles similar to yours within your organization. Or you could even write a blog. The easiest thing, or the one thing that you need to think about top of mind, is content. Content is the one thing that is going to fuel tomorrow's economy. So if you are the best at what you do, or if you think you're the best at what you do and you have a lot of information to share, find a way to package that and share it with the masses, either for free with a brand endorsement or at little or no cost. You know those guys that charge you $2 here, $3 there. All you need, simple math, because I'm a business person, if you're charging $2.99 for a certain subset of information and you have 1,000 people pay for it, how much money have you made? You've made $2,999, right? Just like that, as you sit in your house, putting the information that you know down on paper and sending it out to the World Wide Web. So, first things first, create a bankable brand and then look for ways to package the information that you have in your brain and send it out to the rest of the world. Always think global. We should no longer be limited by thinking of how, if I do a training or if I do a masterclass today at that mall, will people come? How many people do I need? And then I'm going to pay X amount of money for the space. That's how business used to be done in 1990. We're in 2023. Think global, act global, find ways to use all the tools that are there in the World Wide Web to monetize and publicize your personal brand. AI has made things so much easier that I have a feeling that by the time I'm doing season 2 of the personal branding podcast, I'll just need like a camera and a tool. And these guys over here will have already pivoted because now no one needs them to do podcasts anymore. AI is taking it over. And they found the other thing that they can do to monetize their brands as well. Remember to spread your reach and don't forget to let people know that you're there, even as you continue to develop your personal brand, because personal branding is a journey and it never really stops. Thank you for listening to the Personal Branding Podcast with me, Olive Gachara. It has been a long one, this one, talking about monetization, and I think it's a very critical and important conversation. Hoping that you have learned something new, and do let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. And if there's anything you'd like me to expound on, let me know as well as you share this with your networks. Thank you, and I will catch you in the next episode.